I'm Russell Beard in Alicante, southern Spain, where a group of scientists are turning pollution into power.
I'm Sharita Hutton in Belize, where people are trying to protect one of the world's longest barrier reefs.
And I'm Oliver Steeds on the Red Sea, travelling with the first machine to circle the globe using the power of the sun.
Oil has been the lifeblood of modern civilization, and it's used not just for transportation, for cars and ships and planes, but as a source of raw materials for plastics, fertilizers, and even pharmaceuticals. But as it becomes more difficult and dangerous to extract, the race is on to find a renewable and environmentally sustainable alternative. I'm Russell Beard, and I've come to southern Spain to meet a company that's at the forefront of a new green oil rush. A growing demand for biodiesel is driving deforestation and reducing the land and water available for agriculture. While massive investment in bioethanol is pushing up food prices, with farmers growing crops for cars instead of people. These concerns, plus the potential profits, have prompted the investment of billions into finding the green fuel of the future.
We have a problem, okay, nobody knows exactly how long we are with the crude oil, but it's a finite product. We receive by the sun 15,000 times more energy per day like we use. The only system using minimum 10% of that is the photosynthesis. My idea was to say, look, if the crude oil has been formed with the CO2 million years ago, we can do that now, but we have to accelerate that.
Over the last 6 years, scientists at Biofuel Systems have been developing a process to convert CO2 to energy by harnessing the natural power of photosynthetic algae. And so what are you looking for? What's your ideal algae?
The size, the morphology, if we see multiplication, mitosis or not mitosis.
The right potential to be your superstar algae.
Superstar algae. And this is the mother of all the culture we have. The color is different because we are working with different kind of species and strain of macroalgae. We pass with other volume, 5 liter, 20 liter, 100 liter, 1,000 liter.
It doesn't look real, I have to say. It looks like science fiction. So is it fair to say all of this came from one cell?
Okay,
one microalgae.
One microalgae to 300 millions per milliliter. We make the same thing that the nature needs millions of years, but we control and we make it each day. But the first nutrient is carbon, and carbon in form of CO2.
Cement manufacture contributes 5% of global CO2 emissions, but BFS sees this not as pollution, but as a raw material. They've established a test facility next to a cement plant near the city of Alicante, from which carbon dioxide is captured and piped through 300 photobioreactors.
This is a feeding for the algae. This atom of carbon, they are going to put it in their structure.
A sophisticated circulation system ensures maximum exposure to sunlight, which along with the high level of CO2 enables the algae to reproduce 500 times faster than they would in nature.
You have to control all the parameters, otherwise from one day to another you can have no algae anymore.
Yeah, it's a living system here.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
It is a living system. So as we are.
This algae is going to be transformed into a biomass that is susceptible to be transformed in a biocombustible.
It looks like this is a long way from being a combustible. I mean, it looks like pond water, let's be honest.
We remove the water. This is the water that we obtain after removing the water. The water that we have into the... Yes.
No, you just fill this up out of the tap.
So clean that we can reuse again and again in our process. This is our idea, we reuse. This is the biomass that we obtain.
Wow.
Okay?
This density of energy, I mean, it is here, but it's just not quite in the right form yet.
No, we need to transform it with our thermochemical process that if you want, we can go.
They break down the molecular structure with heat and pressure, but the exact process remains top secret.
We can reach up to 250 bar, and we can reach up to 450 degrees.
You're kind of emulating that fossilization process. So if it was literally 400 million years from here to the end of your machine, we could almost count it in steps.
Yes.
At that end, it's plant matter, and you can really smell it. It smells a bit like a farmyard.
Yes, for sure.
But at this end, it's more like oil.
You can refine to obtain different fractions. Kerosene, gasoline.
And what about the manufacturing processes? Of course, we know that oil is used in plastics, in other manufacturing.
Sure. The same chemical component that we have into the crude oil. So in the end, you can do whatever you want.
You can do whatever you could do with crude oil, you can do with this. So this is 100% algae-sourced crude oil. It's not what we're used to seeing on Earthrise, is it? Wow, that's energy.
Yes, this is the meaning of density of energy.
The system acts as a depollutant. For each barrel, over 2 tons of CO2 is consumed, half of which will never return to the atmosphere. It's not even just carbon neutral.
It's negative balance.
It's a negative balance.
Right now we are in a pilot plant. And we are working in the technology. We are starting off in Almeria, a new plant, and in Almeria we are going to sell it.
And so can we go and see that?
Yes, we can go.
In Almeria?
Yes.
Can we fill the car first?
Yes.
Almeria is home to the worst polluting power station in Spain and a large quarried wasteland unsuitable for agriculture. BFS aims to site their algae farms across the world in places like this, next to big polluters like coal-fired power stations and factories. The scale of this place, wow. So when do you think it will be finished?
In a few months. So the civil works finish in 2-3 months. Then we start with building the bioreactors, and maybe in less than 1 year we are in production.
So you're using seawater,
that's right,
the sunlight, and of course the carbon dioxide from these. Oh, you can see the cement works just here. You don't need to be an expert to see the potential here when we're talking about this amount of energy coming down from the sun, and effectively this amount of resource that most people would see as pollution.
Yeah, that's right. Here we have a big problem with this pollution because it's too much CO2 emission in a small town. We need petroleum, we create petroleum, but a green petroleum.
If you give us the surface in the next 30 years, 1/4 of the desert of Libya, you give us that and we will make the production of 85 million barrels. That means we can reduce 20% the atmospheric CO2. It's not imagination, it's with the parameter you saw this morning in this plant. One by one they transmit the message to all of the responsible, to all of the world, to say, look, maybe it's a solution there. Check that, and maybe it's the solution for the future.
Just off the coast of Belize is the world's second largest barrier reef. Thank you so much. It attracts people from all over the world, but that reef was being threatened by a destructive form of fishing. I'm here on the island of Key Cocker to find out what people here are doing about it.
Bottom trawling is a pretty destructive fishing practice. These big boats basically rake the bottom of the seafloor. So not only are you killing fish that you don't really know what you're fishing for, but you're also destroying the grounds where those fish are maybe breeding. So there's an immediate impact in indiscriminate fish catching, and there's also a long-term impact of destruction of habitat, which is probably more significant.
In 2010, with the reef status as a UNESCO World Heritage Site under threat, Belize decided to act.
As far as we know in the whole world, we are the only country that has banned all forms of trawling. We started out with seeking a ban for bottom trawling only. But as we negotiated and we looked at all the risks that was involved with trawling, the government agreed with us that there should be a ban on all forms of trawling. So there can be mid-trawling, no form of trawling, absolutely none.
All right, guys, welcome on board Sea Drops.
We are headed to the Key Cocker Marine Reserve. It's about a 10-minute boat ride. This is Pablo and Chip. They are my guides for the day.
Good morning.
Good morning. What should we expect to see today? It's a beautiful day.
Yeah, it is. We're going to be seeing stingrays and nurse sharks. Besides that, we have some small tropical fishes, corals.
All right, so you're talking about sharks. How big of sharks?
They're juveniles. They're still, 3 to 6 feet long, but the mature aren't going to be out there today.
Okay.
Just because they were hunted and fished and they're gone.
Yes, we're here. Welcome to Stingray Village.
There's sharks in there. They're everywhere. They're all around the boat right now. Sharks are swarming the boat. I don't care. And he's feeding them. Great.
Giving the sharks a little bit of sardines here, just to let them know we're here, we're nice and friendly.
The sharks have little, small, needle-sized teeth. Now, they wouldn't feel too good if they did bite you, but they don't bite people all that often, ever.
There are 3 sharks and like 4 stingrays. Look.
Over 500 species of fish live in Belize's coastal waters, including many sharks and rays.
Will you let me lift them up some? Oh, this is so cool.
Conserving them through sustainable fishing is vital to tourism, which is the country's #1 foreign exchange earner.
I think you just sneezed on me.
The reef in Belize is why this country is such a tourist destination and a dive mecca. People come here to see this beautiful reef and the corals and the animals that live around it and are part of it.
It's too soon to tell what effect the ban will have, but marine biologists like Ellen McRae are working hard to assess its impact.
This is your job to pretty much protect what's in the water, so that when the trawling ban went into effect, that had to make you feel good.
Wonderful. It just rake and scrape is what you call it. It's terrible. They're kicking up things that are even buried in the sediments, and they're ripping off some of the seagrass and things that are there. Those things hold the bottom down. Once those things are not there, the currents, they will raise the sediment into a plume, which can be carried quite a distance. Today, we're working on the monthly fish survey. So what we do is we're going down there and we're going to take a 30-minute timed swim to identify all the fish we possibly can.
Good luck! I'm the official timekeeper. I don't know how she's going to hear me, though. Do I just start screaming at her? Hopefully she'll be able to hear.
Belize has a nice set of laws. It really does. But unfortunately, there are some ways around it, and it could be stronger. We need to have a little bit more teeth in some of the laws that we do have. There's a nocturnal and early morning fishing that's been happening, and we're helping fisheries to try to combat this.
All right, 30 minutes. Ellen! Time! 30 minutes. You're done.
Okay.
Did you see everything you wanted to or expected, or?
Not everything, but and a lot of the stuff I saw after the count was finished. But that's the way it goes sometimes. We'd rather see a little bit less of these floating around. Sometimes we see them entangled on coral colonies and this sort of thing.
What is it?
It's pieces of fishing nets.
Banning trawling may be just the first step in protecting the reefs of Central America, but in Belize, taking a first step is how to lead the way, so others will follow.
Osmotic power is based on the natural phenomenon osmosis, where water moves through a semi-permeable membrane from water with a low concentration of salts to one with a high concentration. When fresh water and salt water collide, for example at the mouth of a river, an enormous amount of energy is unleashed as the waters of different salinity combine into a state of less ordered, uniform salinity. The mixing generates a significant 2.2 kilojoules of energy per litre of fresh water. Osmotic power stations recreate and harness this process by separating a tank of fresh water and a tank of salt water with a semi-permeable membrane. This membrane allows fresh water to pass while remaining impermeable to salts, so the fresh water is drawn through the membrane into the saltwater side, equalising the difference in salinity and raising the pressure in the saltwater tank. That huge pressure, the equivalent of a 120-metre water column, drives a conventional power turbine. It's estimated that a large osmotic power station could produce enough clean energy to run 30,000 European homes. Small osmotic power stations could be integrated into the basements of buildings, generating power for the surrounding district. A small experimental osmotic power station has already been built at Tofte in Norway, successfully creating 10 kilowatts of electricity. A full commercial osmotic power station will be online in 2015.
Shipping accounts for at least 4% of all global carbon dioxide emissions. If shipping were a country, it would be the 6th largest emitter of greenhouse gases on the planet, and the sector is expected to grow by 75% in the next 15 years. I'm Oliver Steeds, and I've come to the Red Sea to explore a future where our shipping fleets may be powered directly by the sun. This extraordinary boat is Planet Solar, otherwise known as Turanor, a name taken from Tolkien's Lord of the Rings, and meaning the power of the sun. We're going to join the crew and sail from here, Hogdada, up the Red Sea to Sharm el-Sheikh, part of their bid to be the first to circumnavigate the planet with solar power alone. Backed by an entrepreneur from the solar industry, Planet Solar cost over $16 million to build and began its odyssey in Monaco back in December 2010. Travelling the seas to demonstrate what is possible with the solar technologies we already have, and carry a simple, positive message. We can change to protect our planet. Even though it's a boat of the future, some traditions do remain. First, we had to present ourselves to the captain, Erwan Lurazik.
Hi, how are you?
Good. Right, so what's happening today?
So what's happening? We spent the night at anchor here in the Shadwan archipel, and we're going to heave up anchor, proceed to Sharm el-Sheikh. We have the bosun, Jens ahead, ready to heave up anchor. Okay, let's go.
To maximize solar electricity production, outriggers with additional solar panels can be extended like wings. How many solar panels have you got?
We have 800 modules, 38,000 cells.
So when everything is open, we have more than 537 square meters of solar generator. It is the biggest solar boat in the world.
And what powers are all these cells generating?
So the total of the solar generator, when everything is open, is 93 kilowatts of power. It's a little bit less than 130 horsepower.
To put that in context, this is a 90-ton boat being driven by 130 horsepower, roughly the same as a motorbike engine. This extraordinary power-to-weight ratio is made possible because of the catamaran's sleek aerodynamic and hydrodynamic design.
This cell is a sun power cell. It's one of the best cells that you can find on the market. Everybody can buy it, but it's 22.6 of efficiency. And at the moment, the weather is very good, so we are probably producing like 120, 110 horsepower at the moment.
Planet Solar's longest leg was over 1 month without any stops, day and night, meaning they have to be able to recharge their batteries during the day so they can power on by night. It's a constant balance of power production versus power consumption. Christian is the engineer on board the boat, and we're going down here, quite a steep drop, into the hull to look at the engines. So this is the real nub of it. These are, what are these? Tell me. I don't know.
So we have two electric motors behind here and here, and with this belt here, that's a gear, so the engines are turning 10 times faster than the main shaft, what is directly connected with the propeller, what is behind this wall you see over there. Can you start the electric motors?
Yes, you can.
How fast can you go?
Maximum speed we can go up to 10 knots, so quite fast when you think that it's all solar powered. and in average on long navigation they go 4 to 5 knots.
And how does that compare to other ships?
Yeah, when you compare it to big cargo ships, they go faster. They go around 12 to 16 knots. When you compare it to normal sailing boats, it's around the same speed.
Behind the steel door that Christian's opening up is the heart of the beast. This is the massive battery. It's one of the largest lithium batteries in the world. The problem is it's proprietary technology, and so we're not allowed to film it. And how much energy can you store in those batteries?
Up to 1 megawatt hour, what is around 20,000 lights normal.
How many days, how many hours of power does that give you then?
And this gives us around 3 days of power of its normal navigation speed.
It's not only the engines that are powered by solar-generated electricity. So are the lights, computers, navigation systems, fridges and freezers, everything except the gas cooker. It is quite literally a floating solar power station. And silent. On the surface, the bridge looks like any other. Computerized admiralty charts and autopilots, thrust controls for starboard and portside propellers, a steering wheel for manual control of the rudder. But there are a few subtle differences.
So this is our electronic management system where, in which we have the battery level, 94%, all of them. As we are here for a few days, we have been able to load completely, maximum.
Planet Solar has taken great leaps forward not only in their power system, but also in their approach to navigation. So what's unique about the navigation of Planet Solar?
We have to anticipate and navigate with the sun. So the first principle that we used was to stay as close as possible to the equator, because that's where you have more sun in general. And the second one is that in details we follow predictions and we anticipate the weather conditions on site with Météo France, the French weather forecast, that is sending us weather predictions every day, twice a day. And on these weather predictions we have the sunlight. So we can calculate, anticipate what will be our production of energy for the next few days.
It's a pioneering piece of software, purpose-built for Planet Solar, but already having application with the solar power industry, helping to predict the number of hours of sunshine per day, enabling them, for the first time, to project their production capacity. What is different about how you then navigate from A to B that another ship would then navigate A to B? Is your route more efficient?
The major difference with, I would say, regular ships is that regular ships, they go from A to B straight. We might pass by C or D or even by Z, depending on what are the conditions, sun, wind, current, waves are the most important elements. But of course, the major one is sun.
So sometimes it's actually more efficient and faster, not just to go A to B, but to go A to C and then to B.
Yes, exactly.
Why don't people do that? It seems to make logical sense. If it's actually more efficient and quicker.
Unfortunately, not all of them are doing that way, and they just don't bother and they go straight. But some companies realize that you need to be a little bit more smart than just go straight A to B.
Planet Solar hope their pioneering navigational software that improves travel times and subsequently fuel efficiency will be picked up by the shipping industry. There's some big visionary thinking going on here, but what's the actual application for the shipping industry?
Oh, I think what we want to demonstrate for the shipping industry is we have the technologies to improve first the efficiency and then to use the renewable energies. And we can, with these two main things, increase the efficiency and to reduce the consumption of fossil fuel and also the CO2 emission.
And what about the actual application of the solar technology? Can it be applied to shipping?
Of course, it's not possible to have every boat in this planet only on solar energy, but we think that close of the equator, it's possible for more than 60% of the boat, like a fishing boat, diving boat, to be only on solar energies.
when the wind really gets up, it's going to get pulled in all directions. There it is there, look, it's already turning. Yeah! That is brilliant, man. Look at that! It doesn't even feel that windy. It's free energy right there.